Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make no knead bread, which is very easy. So you start with 450 grams of flour. I use unbleached all-purpose flour because I can never find bread flour in the store that's cheap enough. This is 2 teaspoons of salt, and then I will add 1 teaspoon of yeast. I use Active Dry. I get it from Sam's Club in bulk, and then I freeze what I'm not using. This is a cup of water. And the goal here is to get what is called a shaggy dough, which basically just means that it just came together. Like all of the flour is stuck together. It doesn't have to be smooth or cohesive. It just has to be together. Because as it sits overnight, the moisture will spread and everything will get nice and hydrated. So we're not so concerned about getting a smooth consistency here. You might have to add a little bit of water. I know I did, and actually by the end of this I could have added just a little more water. I think it was still just a touch too dry, but it's really hard to make mistakes as long as you know what you're looking for. And what you're looking for is what I'm showing you here. And this is more stirring than I normally do. Usually I'm not so with the amount of water I use, but it happens and you just adjust. Don't be intimidated. Whatever comes out of this at the end is going to be edible and probably way more delicious than anything you could buy. Cover it. You can cover it with a towel. I use press and seal because there's just something satisfying about the perfect drum that it creates on the top. And then you leave it on your countertop overnight. The next morning, you should have something that looks a little bit like this. It will have risen a little bit. If you poke it, it should bounce back a little. Unfortunately, mine was a little overproofed. I let it go a little bit too long. But as you can see, I'm going to cook it and it will still be absolutely delicious. So, like I said, mistakes, don't ruin it. We are going to shape it into a ball. Turn it out onto the counter, and there's a little bit of a technique to this. I don't put any flour down because it needs to stick to the counter just a little bit so you can create some tension. And you pull it into the center to form like a smooth surface on the other side. And then you do this twisting motion here. And so the bottom will stick to the countertop and it will like pull the surface taut. And you just do it until you feel comfortable with the tension and the shape. Next, you get out a sheet of parchment paper and lightly flour it or heavily flour it if you're like me. During this, you need to have heated your oven to 450 and put your Dutch oven inside. So it should be hot. And then you plop your bread in there. Careful not to burn yourself. And you slap that lid back on. And then you put it in there for 25 minutes. When the timer is up, pull the lid off. The goal at this point is to brown the top. Give it a nice crust. See, right now it's very pale. And that crackling, that's what you want to see. If you don't want that, you can cut it, but I don't see the point. I like the crackling. You want to cool it off as much as you can before you cut into it, or it'll be gummy. Here it is next to a loaf of sourdough that I made that same day. And I will show you the comparison. The inside is denser, doesn't have the air bubbles that a sourdough has, but it doesn't really matter. It tastes wonderful. That's it. I hope that you will like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.